And we're back. What is up, people? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the Esports Rewind. Hello, Zane.
Hey, welcome back to Jake's slow descent into madness. It's been an interesting thing to observe from a distance.
Oh my goodness! I swear, dude. If people follow me on Twitter, which I'm sure at least a few of you guys do, I've literally, Zane. I feel like I'm losing my mind. And
Now you can tell by the way your hair stands, it's slightly askew.
There's still no barbers. You know, we're not all like. We all can't wear our hair so nicely, Zan. I haven't been gifted those genes.
Well, to be fair, I have to take care of my hair myself, so
You're right.
it's more
but
more
you
hassle.
do a better job of taking care of yours. Anyway, it's good to have you back. To once per week, I see you. And you ready to break down some good news?
Yeah, real quick before we do, just to remind everybody, if you'd like to catch the podcast on iTunes and Spotify, we're there as well as part of the Prediction Esports Talk Show Network. Please go support us there. Download an episode, give it a try there as well. You never know.
Yeah, if you don't need to see our ugly faces, the audio version is always there.
Yeah, if you don't want to see Jake's bad hair.
Which is totally understandable.
Which isn't that bad, to be fair.
Ready to run it?
Yeah, let's hit it.
All right, here we go. And Zan, my first one for you is one that was pretty big this past week, as we slowly have seen this over the past, probably 2 to 3 weeks, a closed beta game having pro players being signed. And that now being, we have some known information out there confirmed by CEOs and other esports sources of what these supposed pro players switching are asking for to play a game that has not been released yet. Xanifer, if you guys don't know Zane, he comes from the FGC scene. And so
Born and raised.
when it comes to talking about big money and big salaries, in comparison to FGC, everything's pretty big when it comes to money. Now we're hearing sums of money for salaries anywhere from $20K or higher per month. Is what pro players have been asking, or at least some have been asking, to make the switch from their current esport to Valorant. Give me your 2 cents on this, man. It's pretty crazy stuff.
It is crazy, and while I certainly don't fault any pro player for making that ask, because you might as well swing big if other people are asking. You don't want to lose out on. You could have been making way more money. But the thing is, I just feel I am shocked by the level of faith people have in Valorant so far, because I don't think based on what most of Riot has said, most of their promises about the game, most of them haven't really panned out like they said they will. The anti-cheat isn't nearly as good as they promised. The dedicated servers are have they been spun up yet? Because I've been seeing connectivity issues constantly. There's tons of problems popping up here or there.
Sprinkled here and there.
Yeah. And it's just it's not stable in a way where personally I would not, if I was a pro player, I would not be investing and saying I'm making the shift right now, this instant, before we know how it's going to pan out on release.
And that was another video we actually covered on for a bit of a separate point, that being what are these pros switching for? And just like the point you made, yes, we're not going to knock a pro player for asking that much, because if you can get the bag, if you can get that kind of cash for a game that's not even out yet, if you see yourself worth that and you can get that, go for it.
Yeah, by all means.
And when it comes to pro players switching from their current esport, a lot of them have good reasons. Whether they are streamers, they have financial security so they can actually make the switch. Whether their current esport's not paying them near enough to stick in it. Of course, there are plenty of pro players who have great reasons to switch. The giant question is, what kind of organizations are paying $20K per month? There's a lot of teams out there, some towards the top tier, we expect, that have made some signings. Most recently has been Sentinels, T1. They're probably your top 2 right now. They both have a few, if not 3 or 4 players. And you got to wonder, how long are they paying these salaries? How long till the game even has its first official tournament by a DreamHack or ESL, and they're paying tens of thousands of dollars for a team?
You know what? I think in large part, this is kind of like the gold rush, right? Where teams are trying to just snatch up people before they're already locked down to a competitor, essentially. So I wouldn't be surprised if these contracts are very limited. They're probably not the super long-term ones that we might see for other games. In some cases, right? Maybe they're only hey, we'll pay you $20K a month for a year, and then we'll revisit the contract from there and see how things are going. Because at some point, I think there's going to be a reevaluation once the dust is kind of settled and the hype has died down and people are okay, what is Valorant actually?
Yeah.
Teams are going to reconsider, is this person actually worth the $20,000, or are they maybe more worth $15K?
Yeah. I think we'll see a lot of fluctuation. It's also, to end on, it's just so crazy that teams can look at players and how they did in a different game and somehow already think they're worth $20K a month in a new game. That we just have not seen. There's no way.
There's a lot of guessing involved.
We've tried to evaluate rosters here at the team, and we think obviously when it comes to experience, the Sentinels roster is the most experienced so far. T1 is right behind them. Any other roster has not really been anyone of note. But how do we judge, right? Like NIP's roster is Paladins players. They could be God tier. We just don't know.
Maybe Paladins are secret killers. Maybe they all got that, like they've been grinding for so long in Paladins, just struggling that
and this
they're
is
all
the perfect crossover.
Yeah, this has been their plan long term. They're like, we're gonna chill over here. We'll do all of our practice here. Yep. Nobody will see us coming.
Yeah, hey, we're gonna be the Dark Knights, the
yeah,
sleepers.
Absolutely.
It's wild, man. We'll see if they're worth it. We'll see who's worth it, and eventually we're gonna see who the top tier paid players are. And I can't wait to reveal those salaries.
Well, speaking of money, salaries, success, all of the above, let's talk about Fortnite for a second. Because recently there's been a lot of discussion about Fortnite. I believe you have a video going out today about the fact that the World Cup is, just not happening. And there's a very light FNCS competitive schedule for the rest of the year.
Yep.
And for quite a while, people have been saying, well, interest from content creators, streamers, pro players, and then as a result, the fans has been dwindling for Fortnite. And people are wondering how much longer can the game survive in its current state. Now, to counter all the doom and gloom assumptions about Fortnite, I would like to point to last week's, and once again, this podcast is pre-recorded, the Travis Scott Astronomical concert.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because I think this concert and all of their other events are kind of at the core of why Fortnite is going to survive long-term, regardless of how many times Epic Games stumbles over their own feet with like patches and the way they handle esports and such.
And before we get into that, to build ourselves a bit of a wall, we've also said this. We've talked about which esports will be hurt the most by Valorant. Fortnite was not really towards the top of our list. It was mostly stop, don't even, oh, that's going to be out there forever. It was mostly, we talked about Overwatch and Apex. And Fortnite, we both agree, it has a long-term future because of a reason like this. So
yeah, absolutely. I do think. Well, to be fair, I stumble every other word. To be fair,
God
yeah.
dang,
So
now
anyway,
I'm blushing.
So think about it, Jake. If you look at this event, and I checked it out. I'm not a Fortnite fan, but I figured, hey, I like Travis Scott. Wearing an Astro World shirt right now. He's dope. I'll go to a Travis Scott concert. I can't really go to one right now anyway. And, not my cup of tea. I still don't like Fortnite. I left the concert before it even finished. But it was really interesting, like from a visual perspective and from everything that they did around it. To break down some numbers for you, this is the highest concurrent number of players Fortnite has had for an event like this at 12.3 million with 28 million unique viewers overall. And that's not including their official Twitch and YouTube streams and such. That's just in-game.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are huge numbers just for something like this.
Huge numbers.
Yeah. And around this, they had Travis Scott. They released a skin of Travis as part of their icon pack, much like you've seen with content creators like Ninja. And they also released a set of different accessories and cosmetics. And Travis Scott also released a line of exclusive Astronomical Fortnite merchandise.
Okay, I didn't know
clothing
that part
and
either.
stuff. Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So just like all of this cross-promotion opportunities, all of this branding and stuff that's going on, all these opportunities for everybody to come and experience such a unique event, there's literally no other game where this is possible on this scale.
Yeah, and we've seen these crossovers not only with music, we've seen Marshmello first, and that in itself, I know we see a lot of clips out there. I think Courage was the one that people somehow picked on because of his freak out during that concert, but that was groundbreaking, right?
Yeah, it was.
And we've seen other crossovers, NFL. We've seen ones, I believe, with Marvel and
Marvel.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars showed a whole scene that wasn't in the movie
exactly.
in Fortnite.
The things that they have done in this game, whether you hate it or not, are literally they're groundbreaking stuff. And the views, the numbers with it is also groundbreaking. And for that reason alone, the game, not maybe the esports competitive side, but the game will live on for a long time.
Yeah, I think at my conclusion, where I land on with whether or not Fortnite will survive, I think it'll probably fall out of the public eye in terms of esports. And teams will drop their rosters, and maybe they'll keep on like one or two ringers, like they'll keep a Bugga, or they'll keep they'll keep the top people. They'll keep a Benji Fish or something, right? And then that'll be it. And we won't ever talk about it, but Epic will probably keep hosting events as long as the events are still getting views, and they probably will, because they still got that huge captive audience of people.
And I think besides that as well, I think the game as an esport will still have many years left. I think it won't be for a long, long time until we see the roster start to dwindle because Epic Games realizes, I think to a certain degree, despite having mishaps here and there, they do understand a competitive side is needed because that is probably a tuning towards their older part of the audience. You know, a lot of your pro players and established Fortnite pros, yes, a lot of them are still teenagers, but that's still probably the older part of their audience. Mm-hmm. And with them come a lot of fans and a lot of viewers and creator codes, which also entice people to keep on buying things as well. And so I think Epic, it will be around for a long time on both casual and competitive sides of things. And this Travis Scott event is just another reason as to why. So
absolutely.
I'm excited to see what's next. And without World Cup being announced 2020, it won't be happening. This Travis Scott event will be the biggest Fortnite event of 2020, likely.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see more music events being hosted in Fortnite.
And now I'm just more excited because we see the traditional music industry also going to these live shows or live stream shows. So I'm excited to see what other collabs Fortnite has in the canon, and we'll see what comes next. And speaking of Fortnite, why not keep on talking about it? One of the bigger talking points I thought was actually very curious came from Tfue this last week. We talked a lot about Tfue in the past week, a lot of beef. A lot of
interesting fellow, Tfue.
He really is. You know, it's so weird to see such a polarizing guy because people are on one side or the other with him, as they are with many people, I guess.
Yeah.
Even a guy he's beefing with like Ninja has diehard fans and diehard haters, that's for sure. One point he brought to light this past week, though, that I thought was very curious is he called Fortnite the most unfair game he's ever played. And I agreed with him, and I think there's good reason for a lot of people to agree with him, and I was curious what your thoughts were on it as well.
I mean, I could see where he's coming from on that, but I think every time I hear that, I'm like, well, I can point to like 5 others that came out this year that are like way more broken in like 50 different ways.
I like to think that he means from a competitive and esports side.
I would like to think so too, but I mean, hey, I'm always not a fan of super hyperbolic statements like that because I know streamers love to make them, but I see where he's coming from. Fortnite could use some help.
Because I think the argument could certainly be made, especially when it comes to being a battle royale genre, an RNG game, which, you know, people obviously gave him backlash because, hey, Tfue, surprise, surprise, a battle royale RNG game that depends upon hot drops and loot chests is going to be unfair. And so,
yeah, that's kind of the nature of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think it kind of brought to light another debate out there is if battle royales could ever be a competitive, you know, esport and esport in general, which we've already talked about here on the podcast, is why it struggles. Because you're going to constantly have these complaints, and Fortnite already has a large amount of complaints, but to add into that luck and chance factor even further. So I just I wanted to bring up a small debate out there that I did agree with him, but it's not necessarily the game of Fortnite, it's the genre itself. I don't know if we're ever going to see a fair battle royale. That's not what makes it fun to watch.
Yes, you know what, from that perspective, if I can tie this into a very long-running competitive game, Magic the Gathering, that is a card game where whether or not you win is very highly determined by what cards you draw.
Yeah.
So a lot of luck is involved. So at the higher level, it's completely tournament legal for, like, let's say the top 2 people to make an agreement and say, hey, regardless of what happens, we'll split the pot, and, you know, maybe I'll get a slightly bigger cut if I win, but because they're both acknowledging, hey, there's a lot of luck involved, let's make sure that we are both compensated fairly.
Oh, they do that?
Yeah, they do that. It's totally allowed.
Heck? That's
yeah, it's
wild.
totally above board because it's like, you know, if it's a luck-based game.
And you both made it that far.
Yeah, and everybody agrees to it, then, you know, why not? They're still going to play. They're still going to play at the same level. They're not like throwing the game or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
obviously that can't happen when it comes to Fortnite, but that's still
not in the same way. Yeah, but I think that level of maturity to just make that call, I think there's some room in Fortnite to maybe not necessarily do that because obviously it wouldn't work the same way. But, you know, for some kind of agreement to be reached where everybody obviously knows it's RNG based. So, you know, either stop complaining about it or find a way for everybody to be happy.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be tough to see that happening in Fortnite, but still, that's also what makes an esport, especially like Fortnite, so fun to watch in the first place. You know, it's RNG, it's random, but that's always why it's also so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jake. So in the past couple weeks, ever since we wound up in our current situation, we've been talking about how easily esports can make the transition to actually holding online events and all of the issues that might pop up in relation to that in terms of lag, disconnects, like, you know, et cetera, just internet in general being problematic, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, just the other day, we saw one really unfortunate instance of this where a Smash Brothers player was double disqualified from a tournament as a result of lag, even though it appeared on his end that he was not lagging at all.
Oof.
Yeah, you hate to see it. And, you know, as you mentioned earlier in the fighting game community, we don't got the same money around.
You don't say.
Yeah, so this was only a $5,000 tournament, and that's huge. That's
Yeah.
huge for fighting games. That's like, especially Smash Bros. Everybody was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, we don't joke about 5K in the FGC.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, but anyway, the player involved was named Grayson. He's a very well-known, or well, not. He's well-known by people in the fighting game community itself, but not so much outside of that. He usually makes it through pools, makes it in the top 25, et cetera, but he's obviously not like Mango or anything, right? But anyway, he was playing against a guy named Cosmos, and Cosmos is one of the top 25 Smash Brothers players in the world right now, dominant. And Grayson 2-0'd him, very clean, right? Great match. And complaints came into the tournament operators that like, hey, there's lag on both sides. So they reviewed it. They sent in speed tests because that's just what you got to do now. The website speedtest.net. Yeah. Everybody just sends in a speed test screenshot of what their Wi-Fi looks like.
That seems like it could be manipulated, or seems a bit okay.
I mean, I can think of at least like 5 ways to mess with that number, but I mean, what other option do you have? It's not like you can go to a person's house.
If that's what it comes to.
Yeah. So anyway, the test came back. Both people's internet was fine, so they ran another set. Grayson won again, and Cosmos was like, hey, getting some lag, so they tested again, and, seems fine. And then so they ran another set, and then another complaint about lag, and Tio was just like, that's it. I'm calling it. Grayson, you're done. Even though on Grayson's end, seems totally fine.
How? What?
Yeah. He just said, hey, Grayson, you're disqualified. Grayson not had any other problems throughout the event. This is the only match he had complaints of lag in whatsoever. His speed test was fine.
What, did they accuse him of doxing the dude, or what was there an actual ground for the...
There was no accusations. There was just like, as far as I can tell, the guy was just like, well, I mean, got to pick one of y'all, and we're not running more. We're not going to keep running sets over and over again.
But you're not going to pick the guy who won? I can't name many other scenes where this would be a thing.
Yeah,
so.
It is a weird situation, and it stirred up a lot of controversy in the fighting game community because people are wondering, like, are you favoring Cosmos because he's, one of those top-of-mind players over this guy who, he's in there, but he's not Cosmos.
Yeah.
And, I think at the end of the day, this comes down to probably just Smash Brothers having bad netcode, more so than lag really happening on either side. I don't know if either of them was doing anything fishy. It certainly doesn't seem like it. But in order to make it right, the TO did offer to fly Grayson out and pay for his hotel and venue and everything for whatever tournament of his choice once tournaments are actually happening again.
Was that after the same TO?
Yeah, after that same TO was like, yeah, I'm sorry about how things went down.
Wait, what? How are you going to justify that by then?
It's weird. It's
so
weird,
they pretty
right?
much by doing that admit they made the wrong call?
That's what it sounds like,
and move on to the more popular guy?
Uh-huh. I mean, and there's no way to really say, did you make the right call or the wrong call? And clearly he feels like, it wasn't handled in the best way if he's offering to pay all this money.
Yeah.
Because flight, hotel, venue, event fees, that's a lot of money. So, it's a really weird situation. And I don't think we've seen similar ones in other esports yet, but I could see them popping up because nobody knows how to handle this right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly seen issues with admins when it comes to Twitch and their bans. We've seen issues with online play when it comes to Call of Duty, and they're slowly trying to fix those. But I think we'll continue to see them as well as we now approach, we're approaching some big events that were supposed to be going on, right? Like the International or a CSGO Major or what was going to be the Fortnite World Cup. We are approaching League of Legends Worlds, whatever. In the next few months, we're approaching that time period where those events are supposed to be put on. And if they're not going to be put on, maybe they will go online. And so I think this online topic is going to be one that continues to come back, and we'll see how other TOs and other developers and publishers actually deal with this kind of stuff.
Right.
And hopefully a bit better than this one, because that just seems really, based off what you told me.
I mean, based off of everything I learned about, and I was watching the stream, and I was very confused. I was like, why is Grayson getting kicked?
Yeah.
Because he's like,
So hopefully, when it comes time for other esports, they handle it a bit better. But again, I think this online thing is going to be a discussion for the next many, many months.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to juggle because, I mean, how are you supposed to tell a random TO, just look at the screenshots and trust the screenshots?
It's crazy because esports are the most online occupation possible, and we still don't have it figured out. So
yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what happens. And our last topic today, one that I was definitely interested in talking about, that being Mixer. Yes, we talk about it time and time again, but so too, we talk about many streaming platform ongoing activities, and the war does continue. This one being Twitch versus Mixer, YouTube versus Mixer, Twitch versus YouTube, whatever combination you want. And the future of Mixer still being up in the air with stagnant viewership, no signees, potential Microsoft layoffs for the Mixer division, and many other, I would say, not really good-looking things for the platform. I ask you, Zan, because we've talked about this before, and I think you bring to light a really good point, especially given most recently we saw Shroud in a Microsoft commercial for Xbox Game Pass. So I ask you the question, and of course, viewers can give their 2 cents on what they think might be able to save the Mixer platform. If there is one thing, or maybe a couple things Mixer can do, what do you think, Zan, can save Mixer?
Well, as I've mentioned before, I think I've changed my stance on this, but I'll lay my initial stance out first. It would be great if Microsoft, because they own both Game Pass and Mixer, could get some kind of cross promotion going, because Game Pass is immensely popular. They just announced that they have over, I know.
Sorry, I just caught your correction now. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, that's how I knew I was wrong. I was about to say Mixer was immensely popular. I was like, that's not right. That's not even vaguely true.
It's getting there, maybe. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, yeah. Game Pass has over 10 million users now. And that is huge for a game streaming service. And some kind of, tie-in, kind of in the vein of what Twitch does with Twitch Prime and Amazon, could be a path to getting a couple more users to at least try Mixer. But after some news that came out earlier this week, I think I'm kind of done with Mixer. I think Mixer is dead. I think Microsoft needs to throw in the towel, and they need to sign a deal with Tencent.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
That took a turn. I was not expecting this kind of answer.
Uh-huh.
Let me give a preliminary to everyone out there. So pretty much to match Amazon Prime's, Zan's initial idea, this was like a long time ago. Zan
this was probably last year I brought it up the first time.
Months ago. He wanted Game Pass for Xbox to do a similar thing. So pretty much bringing all of those Xbox viewers and players
into one ecosystem, kind of.
To Mixer, really. Obviously they're going to use those. It's not going to necessarily save viewership, but it would be a great source of income for a lot of Mixer streamers and bolster viewership, hopefully, a little bit. It's a great reason and incentive for them to watch Mixer, and a great incentive for streamers, obviously, being a part of that platform. But this new one, what the?
Yeah, so earlier this week, Tencent actually acquired majority control of Chinese streaming platform Huya.
There it is.
Yeah. And we already know that Huya is coming over to the West very, very soon. We don't have an exact date. I think the one that they threw out initially was like winter 2020, but who knows if that's still happening the way it is. But Tencent, being the biggest game company in the world and being very good at what they do, and they already own, now with Huya, they own the 2 biggest Chinese streaming platforms, because they also own Douyu, or they have a majority stake in it at least. And so I think at this point, people already kind of have a negative association with Mixer. I don't think it's working out. If bringing big creators over to the platform hasn't been the move, I don't think they're interested in a partnership with Game Pass, because I think they would have done it already if they really wanted to, So I think what Microsoft should probably do is just fold Mixer, partner with Tencent for Huya, merge the technology, maybe like get Ninja and Shroud over to Huya, and get them more viewership, get everybody on the platform more viewership with a brand that could actually have some chance at working.
This is such a far-fetched plan.
Yeah, I know. I'm coming from left field. Yeah,
but it's almost what you would think. It has to be a very drastic change to make it work, right?
At this point, I mean, I don't know.
So your idea to save Mixer is to fold Mixer into
kill Mixer.
Is to kill Mixer.
Yeah, you need to kill Mixer to save it at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this might seem far-fetched. I think definitely your plan will come to more fruition in the sense of we're going to see the rise. I've been calling it Douyu and Huya. Either way, they're both Chinese streaming platforms, if you guys are unaware of this, and both the biggest one, and the viewership over there, it's insane. And by the way, as well, the quality of that streaming platform is so non-traditional when it comes to time to being compared to YouTube and Twitch. Like, we're not used to it because it's a gigantic cultural change as well. And so when Huya comes over west here to try and, obviously maybe acquire some big streamers, I do like your point that you do make. If they can maybe have some sort of partnership, Microsoft and Tencent, now we're talking like,
yeah.
I'm already bending
Imagine how much money they can throw at streamers then. When you got both of those companies reaching in their pockets, like
I almost said I'm already bending over. I meant bowing down. But yeah, I think that's something it would take as drastic as that. To answer the question, I think as from maybe a more realistic stance, I was going to say probably a Game Pass merger like Amazon Prime does with their subs. And, of course, the most obvious one, signing big streamers. I like your side of things. I really like the future potential of these crazy plans actually coming to fruition. And so what do you guys think? What is the one thing that can save Mixer? It can be as crazy as Zan's idea.
Yeah, I think
we love hearing them. Like, we really do. And I'm sure we'll talk about this again in the future.
No, side note, just realized the Xbox Series X, is that what they're calling it? I forget. I don't know. I hate Microsoft's naming conventions for the Xbox. I think
it might be that.
It's so dumb. I can't. I always think about, like, how is this is slightly off track.
Is that the one that looks like a computer?
Yeah, the one that looks like a fridge. Okay. Yeah.
You guys know.
Yeah, but like whenever I think of the name, I always think of this poor mom just trying to buy this console for her child and walking into a GameStop. Well, not walking into a GameStop now, but like,
this is taking so many paths. This is just
and just trying to ask for the new Xbox, and the merchant, like the GameStop employee being like, okay, so do you want the Xbox One X? Do you want the Xbox Series X? Do you want the Xbox like?
Do you want the original Xbox?
Yeah.
With the actual X on the
no, do you want the Xbox One or do you want the first Xbox?
Because I had, oh my goodness gracious, and she just does not know which one to buy Jimmy.
No, yeah, and she's like, Jimmy, I bought you 5 Xboxes. I don't know which one is the right one.
We got to return this back
But
around.
anyway, I think it's possible there could be some kind of integration coming into the Xbox Series X with Mixer. I think what they could do is something like the PlayStations have something similar to this, where if you highlight a game in your menu, and you go down like one level, it'll automatically pull up streams of people playing that game.
Yeah.
If they could do something like that for Mixer, just to get that a little bit more front-facing, get people a little bit more involved, I think that could help. Will it actually save it? No, I don't think so, but it could help.
You guys leave your thoughts down below. What you think can save Mixer. Do enjoy. If you guys are going insane or going crazy, we like to think that you listening to our voices or watching our faces maybe brings you some sort of, is solidarity the right word? Some sort of comfort, some sort of something, because I'm going insane. Zan, give him the outro, man.
Yeah, you know what? As per usual, I mentioned at the top of the podcast, just a quick reminder, if you would like to listen to the Esports Rewind on the go on your favorite podcast platform of choice. We're on iTunes and Spotify. You can find us as part of the Prediction Esports Talk Show Network. That's PREEDICTION. There's a lot of great other esports talk shows there as well. So by all means, please download an episode. Give us some support that way as well. We really do appreciate it. Shout out to all of our audio listeners. Thank you all for tuning in. You can find us our daily esports news content where we upload several videos each and every day, keeping you in the loop on the latest and greatest esports news over at Esports Talk on YouTube. We're also on at Talk_Esports on Twitter and Esports_Talk on Instagram. By all means, reach out. We love hearing from you guys, whether it's in the comments or on social or via email. We love hearing it. We read literally every single message. Like I said, welcome back to Jake's Slow Descent into Madness.
I'm sweating so much right now. I don't know why. I'm so sorry. Keep on.
It's the coffee, my guy. It's messing with your system.
It's so hot in here. Keep going. We got to.
Anyway, yeah. As per usual, please reach out. Save Jake. Save Jake by sending him a kind word, a message, just saying hello. Help him, help delay the insanity. Push it back a couple weeks. I don't think we can stop it. We can push it back a couple weeks before we have to put him in a corner or something for a while. Man. Yeah, but anyway, Jake, do you have anything you want to leave the good people with?
Thank you all for watching. We really do enjoy this, guys. Thanks for leaving comments, for subbing, for liking. We do have big stuff coming. Yeah. Let's end this one, though. We'll see you guys back here next week. And until then, stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.